Welcome to Scaling Your Healthy Food Product podcast, where we believe the process of scaling better for you product doesn't have to be lonely, hard, or complicated, but following simple steps to prepare your product to scale correctly will set you up to succeed. If that is you, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Jacinta Kimboy. Let's get started, everybody. Too many or too few? The smart way to launch your food product variations. Are you debating or wondering how many SKUs or product variations to launch? Launching too many can drain your resources, while launching too little can limit your growth. So, how do you find the right balance? Let's find out. This is what we're talking about in this week's episode. All right, so let's get right into it. The three strategies to help you strike the right balance when it comes to launching the right number of SKUs is the first one is the risk of launching too many. Just knowing that the risk of launching too many can deplete your resources, especially if you're trying to. Well, everybody is trying to save cost, so how do you do that? You first of all, you want to nail down your recipe. You want to have like the main, you want to have like your main recipe. And I'm guessing at this point you have one. You have your product, and if you're extending lines, you also have like a product, and you want to increase more. So when it comes down to nailing down like your recipe, and just getting to a point where you don't want to deplete your resources, because you don't want to launch so many in that case. So there's a risk of launching too many, and you don't want to get to that point. I worked in a project where we were launching puffs. I have experience in extruded products, and these are like healthier plant-based products. And we came up with and most of the time, the flavor houses will help you out when it comes to finding the trendy, the flavors that are upcoming, because they do a lot of research. So that's also another tip for you too, where you can go to look for like the trendy flavors that are going on. So we had them like give us some of their best flavors, and of course we had also ones that we were looking at. So we were looking at like the regular ones, the sellers, like the best sellers when it comes to snacks. I'm talking about the Cheeto types puffs. So this is just the main one. There's the cheese, the barbecue. Those are like the top three. The top three is like usually the cheese, the barbecue, and there's also like a sweet one. Ketchup if you're in Canada, and then in the US it's usually like another a second cheese. It could be like a mild cheese or aged cheese is what I'm referring to in this case. So the reason why I'm telling you this story is we had like 4 or 5 flavors that we wanted to launch for this product. So you could get to a point where your marketing team can tell you this thing, and that's what happened to us. The marketing team had a different direction that they want us to take. But then we also had the chance of testing it with some of our consumers who had clients in their subscription model, and they were able to use those consumers as a poll to test out the 5 variants that we had, and we ended up going with the top 3 that they chose. So if you're one-man show, if your company is very lean, then you could also bring in like your consumers. In that case, they can tell you how many you want to launch. But most of the time, it's like you want it to be, you don't want it to be overboard, but you also don't want it to be like very, very small. So in terms of like, you don't want it to be, if you don't want it to be too many, you have to look at your company as a standalone. Like, where are you in your food business journey? Are you starting out? Are you like in the middle, or where in the market, or where in your journey are you? So if you're starting out, this would be my advice to you. You can, when you're brainstorming, go for it. Bring out as many as you like. Look for different things. Do your research. Find out which ones are like the best sellers, which one is like the trendy one, because when you're launching out, you want to at least have one product that is trendy, that is catchy, that will bring in your consumers. Like, if everybody has a barbecue flavor, you want to consider that, but I'm pretty sure somebody else will say something different. But it's one of those, like, you could still have like the barbecue that everybody has, but you put a twist to it. So you could make it like spicy, and there's this spicy aspect of things right now going very, they're up there. When we were talking about, when we were going through, I think it's episode 11, talking about that 2025, the trends that the plant-based and the better for you category can use and also utilize to grow their business. That was one of the thing. One of the thing was like the spicy is coming up. It's the trend right now. So if you can increase, you can spice up and spruce up, or I would say like a classic flavor, then go for it. So that's like the risk of that would help you in terms of not going into the risk of launching too many, because you can deplete your resources. And the other thing is too, if you're launching online, maybe you don't have so much of an issue there, and you could launch like a few. You can even do like a pre-launch, and that's something that has helped us in that way. Like if you have like five flavors and you're like, oh yeah, I really need to launch these 5 flavors, you can do a pre-launch where you can launch it online and see what the customers will take it on, like which ones are popular. And then you could end up, now after your pre-launch, you could launch like whatever 3 that you want to go with. So that's the first one, which I know I added a lot more there, but the risk of launching too many, you don't want to do that, because you're going to deplete your resources. But there's also the twist to it. There's strategies that you can use to be able to help you narrow it down and nail it and bring it down to exactly the right number of SKUs that you want to launch and you're ready to go to market with. And then the other one is like, starting lean can be a good thing. It can accelerate your growth, because you have very few SKUs that you're focusing on, and you're marketing. You're just focusing on that, and that's it. And the other thing is too, like you don't get to spread yourself too thin, because we're talking about nailing that recipe or nailing that formulation. And once you have that, you can just have like different variations. That's another way of you reducing your cost and bringing the cost down. But if you have two versions of it, or even if it's just one, then you go with that and you proceed. But then you can also get to a point where you're like, yeah, this kind of limits my growth. Like buyers are asking me, and I don't know how to go about this. It's okay if that's where you are, if you don't have the bandwidth to be able to start with more. So don't feel the pressure that you need to start with more than 1 or 2. Go with your pace, and then you increase as you go. And the other tip with that is, as you go to those shows, as you present your products, and there's also an episode that you can go back and look at and listen to about starting local, is you can go to those local stores and talk to them. And if you only have one, then maybe they have a spot, and that's also another thing that can be a plus for you. If you have 2 versions, or 1 or 3, and somebody only has space for 1, then they would take the 1. And if you have 3, then you have to choose amongst the 3, and it goes like that. But don't feel the need to start more if that's what your financial constraints puts you in that. And it's a good thing, because then you focus on that. People get to know your product with that, and then you expand as you go. And as consumers are asking for more flavors, you can even do like a poll, which flavor they want, and you can launch knowing exactly that's what your consumer is gonna buy, and the product is gonna move. So that's also a good thing, and it kind of like it will help you when it comes to nailing your product. And then the last one, this is where I give you strategies on how to determine the ideal number of products. So this is where testing is very important. Testing. It doesn't matter where you are in your food journey. If you're starting out, you can use the farmers markets to test how many flavors you should launch. So take them out. This is where you can take as many as you want at that point, if it's 5, and then do like a small a small poll, like provide samples, let people try them out. You can ask them which one would you prefer, what's your top three, or what's your top. And you could ask as many questions or few questions depending on how you see the consumers interacting with you. So that's another one. And the other one is also, I did mention before, was you could start online. You can list your products online and then see how it goes with the consumers, like which one they prefer. And the other thing too is you can also offer customers online like free samples. So if you have a budget where you could ship those samples to consumers just to try and give you some feedback, then do that. Because we've done that, like in all that I have experience, like where we did put it online, and especially if you have like an online store and you have consumers that keep ordering, like you have your regular consumers, you can even add it to like a pack and ask them to try it out, put like a QR code there and let them give you some feedback on figuring out which ones to narrow down to. And the other thing is too, like speak to the buyers, because the buyers, depending on the stores, they have like the limit of number of products or number of SKUs they can put, especially a new one. But it also depends with your budget. If you have 5 and they're asking for like 10,000 per SKU and you could do 50,000, then there you go. But there's also some stores that can only take 2. And if whatever you have, if you have like options, you let them know which ones you have or how many they can take. So it's an important thing to talk to your buyers. You need to talk to them and get a feel of what they're looking for and how many they can take on from you, so you know what to expect and you can plan for. Because you can figure out, okay, maybe there are some that are looking for, and you can ask them in terms of savory, because they usually have like a calendar of when the products are going to be launched. So you can ask them, what are you looking for? Like, is it a savory? Is it a sweet? You can pretty much find out most of the details from them, and then you plan that way. If you have like a savory one and a sweet one, and you had like an extra one just to be able to give stores options, then that would help you out in that way. So with that said, it really does depend with your goal. And the other thing I just wanted to say is don't be afraid to start with little. Like, go with your budget. Starting lean can be a good thing. It's not always like you need to have so many varieties and so many flavor options to be able to sell more, but there are strategies of what you can do to be able to test out your product and see which ones you can take to market, or which one will be a bestseller when it comes to how the consumers are interacting. So get them out to the consumers. If you're starting small, go local. Talk to those stores, talk to consumers. See if you can maybe even find like a booth in your local store and just sample out the products. This is why Costco sells a lot of those products when you're sampling. We've seen that, like when products that we sell in Costco, we have people try them out. Yeah, the products they sell really well because people are sampling that. So you want to sample your products so that people can give you feedback. You can get consumers feedback and be able to react and be able to launch out the right number of SKUs that you need to launch at. But don't feel left out. Don't feel like you have to launch a certain number. Go with where you are right now. If you want to just tone it down and just launch 2 just based on your resources, that's where you need to start lean, and you increase as you go, and you keep extending your line and keep growing, and your product and your business will keep growing. So that's it for this week, building our food business. Until next week, keep at it. Preparing your recipe workshop is coming. This is perfect. This is where you perfect your recipe before taking it to market and for profit. And this is for basically all food entrepreneurs that are in the plant-based and better for you category. This could be anyone starting from you're starting from kitchen, now you're gonna go to commercial kitchen, and also the ones that are now scaling from commercial kitchen to co-manufacturers, or if you have your own manufacturing facility. This is where you can learn how to optimize your recipe, how to prepare it to market, and ways that you could use to save cost when it comes to your raw materials. So until next time, keep working on scaling your food business, your healthy product. Remember, I am cheering you on because my goal and my mission is to see more healthier products in the food aisle. So I will be looking out for your product as you work on it, as you improve it. Keep scaling your food business.